Hey guys, welcome to the start of another reading vlog. I wanted to do a vlog because I'm going to be rereading The Mummy by Anne Rice and the sequel type thing that came out like years later called The Passion of Cleopatra. I say sequel type thing because the first one, you could technically read it by itself and it would be fine, but this one builds more onto it. And I only read this one once. It's been a long time, and the sequel is coming out in a week from today. Yes, a week from today. So I need to get these two read and then read the third one, which is of course the last book that Anne Rice will have ever written, unless she's working on something else that we don't know about. She wrote it with her son. So the first one she wrote by herself. The second one she wrote with her son, Christopher Rice, as well. I tried reading a book by him one time before, and it was so bad. It was called like The Heavens Rise or something, and I only got it because I went to a book signing with Anne Rice and got it. Her son was there too, so I got the other book signed by him, and it was not good. But I tried. My mom tried reading it too, so it's not just me, I don't think, anyway. So I want to read these two again, and then I want to read the third one, and I want to vlog the experience, because if you have not experienced The Mummy by Anne Rice, then you are missing out, because these books are so good. If you like the Mummy movie, if you like just was it 19th, I don't know, turn of the century maybe, or maybe 1800s, I don't know, I'll have to look and see, in England. This one is definitely lots of romance. That's what I would say for the first one. There's definitely a lot of romance in it. And then the second one is more about mythology and like lore, I guess, and like how this potion came about that like makes you immortal. And it's sort of the, I guess, history behind that potion. So I have no idea what the third one's about, except it's called The Reign of Osiris, which sounds super cool. So I'm very excited about that. This is the other thing I'm super excited about. I came in this morning and forgot, oh gosh, I almost tripped. I forgot that my desk had been cleaned off. And this is, trust me, this is clean compared to what it was. So I was super excited that I came in and everything was all neat and nice. Like, look at it, it looks so good. Also, this Frosty Chino from Wendy's. Oh my gosh, so good. It's like a Frosty and coffee all together. And now that I'm into coffee, it's so good. I also have developed a library vision statement and a library mission statement, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, there we go. So I'm actually taking this class where they said that one of the most important things we can do as a librarian is to develop a mission and vision statement. Like, first and foremost, like, you have to have that, and everything you do is based on those. And I had one previously, but it was just kind of copied from like an organization. It wasn't really my own. And I had it posted outside the library, but then eventually I took it down. Most of the teachers took theirs down. We were originally years ago required to have it up, but then we weren't. So anyway, I'm excited to have them up again. I'm gonna laminate them today and get them posted. So anyway, I will keep you guys updated on the progress of my reading of these books, and I will definitely check in with you guys and give you a more in-depth summary. I just wanted to start the vlog and say hello. Ash, can I have one? Can I have it? Oh, thank you. I'll give you one back. Can I have another one? Oh, that was so mean. Why would you do that? I can have that one. Give it to me. Oh, you are. Oh, thank you. You were nice about that one. Can I have one more? Can I have one more? Give me one more. Give me that one. Can I have that one? Oh, why would you do that? You're so mean. Okay, so funny story. It's the next day, and I wanted to give you a reading update. And the update is, I've not read anything because I left my books at school. They were just on my desk, and I got home last night. I had plenty of time. I had like an hour and a half to read yesterday evening, and I was so excited. And I went to go look in my bag that I bring to school, and I'd forgotten my books. So I have no reading progress, and now I'm really sad. But I did film a video today, so that was exciting. Now, as per usual, we're gonna do a taste test in this vlog, and there's a brand new Monster Ultra energy drink. I love the Ultra flavors. They take the white and then they add something to it. This one is the Peachy Keen, apparently, and it only comes in this size in a 6-pack, 12 ounces instead of the usual like 16 or whatever, only 110 milligrams per can of caffeine instead of 150. But I love Monster Ultras so much, and we tried the black cherry one on camera not too long ago. So now we're gonna try this peach one. It's 0 sugar. I'm gonna assume it's mostly just peach flavor with no other flavor, so I don't know if I'll like it as well, because I usually like the ones that you can't even tell what flavors they are. Like if you taste the blue or the pink ones, you're like, I don't even know what flavor this is. It's hard to describe. Oh, it smells super peachy. Oh, very peachy, very sweet. It's definitely fake sugar, but it is really sweet. It might be a little bit too much sweet for me, but it's good. It's just the other ones are a little more subtle. The peach is not as overwhelming as I expected, so it's not bad. And then the other drink I'm drinking, I showed you guys my Dr. Pepper flavored seltzer water last time. This one is root beer flavored seltzer water. It is literally just flavor and water, carbonated, super good, no sugar, no fake sugar, nothing like that. So it's kind of takes some getting used to, but it's so good. So don't know how well you can see this, but it's called Library at Midnight, and it's like it's a puzzle that my parents worked. Oh my gosh, it's upside down. Let's try again. There you go. So it's literally a bunch of fictional characters. Like there's, you know, a knight in shining armor, a dragon, like generic stuff, but then there's really specific characters like Gingerbread Man, Peter Rabbit, Three Little Pigs. I think there's Dracula. So it's like stuff from all different levels of literature, Sherlock Holmes, like classics and things. And there's a circulation desk with a librarian right here. And I guess there it is. They're checking out books. And I just think this is so whimsical and fun. And my parents got it for me and worked it and put it in a frame. And so I can hang it in my school library. So I'm very excited about that. I just thought it was really cool. It reminds me of like Night at the Museum or something because it's called Library at Midnight. So I'm assuming it's like, if the library, this is what would happen at nighttime, like the characters would come out of the books and go check out books themselves, which is just really funny. And yeah, so anyway, I'm excited about this and hopefully I will actually get to read some today. Bubbles, Ash! Bubbles! What was that? Get him! Here we go. Ash, you want to do it again? You want to do it again? You do? Okay, let's do it again.
Oh my God.
Hey guys, so let's check in about Anne Rice because it has been a while since I updated you. I can't even remember the last time I filmed a clip. I've done a lot since I last talked to you, not just reading wise, but one of the reasons I haven't vlogged is because I got kind of sick there for a little bit. I actually had to leave school one day and I wound up in the ER. I've never been to the ER in my life. They thought I might have had appendicitis because I was having really intense stomach pains and a high fever and things like that. But it turns out it was colitis caused by a bacterial infection. So they put me on 2 antibiotics, sent me home. I'm doing a lot better now, but it was wild there for a little bit. And then with school, I've been having the book fair and stuff. So, or getting ready to have the book fair. So that's been busy. Stuff with the baby's been busy. So I've not vlogged very much, but just to give you an update, I decided just to skim The Mummy because I knew that based on the timing of when the 3rd book was coming out in the series, I was not going to have time to read all of them. And what I remembered loving about this book is kind of like the one side character, his name's Elliot Savarell. He's just this like old gentlemanly, really cool dude. And I liked him a lot. Like he's super cool. He's my favorite character. He's like Julian Mayfair from her Mayfair Witch Chronicles. I don't know. He kind of reminds me of him. He's got a lot of personality and he's just, I don't know, he's the most like fun character. But as I mentioned before, this is definitely more of a romance. But just to give you a little insight as to what this book is about, I can't remember how much I've told you before, but basically, yeah, the mummy, Ramses II, had discovered, he actually stole from someone a long time ago, the elixir of life, basically. Now he's immortal. He in the past was the advisor to other great rulers, including Cleopatra herself. And I guess he refused to give Mark Antony the elixir even though Cleopatra begged him to do so to help him win, but and to build like a immortal army or something. And of course, Ramses wouldn't do that. But Cleopatra did not want the elixir. She actually turned it down even when he offered it to her because, of course, they were in love and all that sort of stuff. But now, in the present, I don't think it's a spoiler, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you, but he goes and sees Cleopatra. Of course, as soon as he wakes up, who does he want to see but Cleopatra? So he goes and finds her like mummified body or whatever at I guess it's the British Museum. I honestly don't remember at this point, but I believe it is. And he sees her and gives her the potion, like to her dead body, and it brings her back to life. But she's not herself. Like, she's kind of crazy a little bit. But you find out a lot more. That's where the second book really comes into play. And then she sort of goes after kind of almost falling in love with this guy who was supposed to marry the main character, Julie. Julie, of course, falls in love with the mummy, Ramses, and breaks off her engagement to the other guy. The other guy, Alex, his dad is Elliot Savarell, the cool guy. So everybody's really like interconnected here. There's also sort of a bad guy character who kills Julie's father at the very beginning of the book. That's right off the bat. So it's Julie's cousin. So there's that to deal with. So there's a lot going on in this book, and it's really good. I highly recommend it, especially get an old copy. It smells so good. So the second one is totally different. So right now I am on page 359 out of 400. Like, I have this much left. Why I'm filming this clip instead of just finishing this book is beyond me. I guess because I feel bad that I haven't filmed a clip in a really long time. So this book is all about, this book asks more bigger, deeper questions, like what would happen to someone's soul, like, and their bodies if they were separated. Because when it turns out when he brought Cleopatra back, Ramses brought Cleopatra back in the previous book, of course, what would happen if her soul had gone into another person? Like, she was already, apparently in this universe, souls, they realize, go somewhere, and then every time, like, they're reborn all the time, like in each generation or each person or whatever. So there's a lady who is a writer. She's like an American author. Her name's Sybil Parker, and she has Cleopatra's soul. She's like the reincarnation of Cleopatra. But the problem is now Cleopatra's body, of course, is back and it's soulless. So she starts to kind of go mad. She's having these weird visions and kind of dreams and she's got this weird connection with Sybil. She's forgetting things. She can't remember her own son, like from the past, from like ancient times. And she thinks if she finds Ramses, that he will give her the true elixir and give her more of it. And she thinks that must be the only cure, would be to have more of the elixir. Everybody's looking for Ramses, though, not just him, or not just her, but there's other people who are new characters that are introduced that have a lot to do with the mythology of the elixir, like the person who created it, somebody else who wants it. You're introduced to the fact that there's, like, if they have a corrupted version of the elixir that's not the true pure elixir, then they can maybe live somewhat longer, but they're not totally immortal. They can maybe live a couple hundred years or something like that. And then there's other potions that it turns out, I'm not going to spoil because some of them are actually important to the plot, but there are other potions that do other things that you find out about. So that's actually been really interesting. Honestly, I just skimmed the first maybe like 100 pages of this, or yeah, probably right about to part 2. I was like, okay, yeah, we're just kind of catching up with where everybody's at after the end of the first one, and you know, kind of meeting a few new characters, whatever. And I was like kind of bored. It was fine. But then I got really hooked in again, and I've been really enjoying actually reading the rest of it. So I'm really, really close to being finished, which is good because look what arrived the other day. I've had this for almost a week and haven't even opened it. But this is Ramses. Obviously, it's the sequel. I mean, the third one. But it's The Reign of Osiris. And it is also written, of course, with Christopher Rice. I've not read the back cover yet. I have no idea what it's about, but I guess it's about the reign of Osiris. I don't know if Osiris is going to be a bad guy in this or what. Or I don't think of Osiris as normally being a bad guy. I think of Anubis is usually portrayed as a bad guy in Egyptian mythology. So maybe we'll read the back cover of this together when I'm ready to start this one. So I'm going to go finish this book and give you my final thoughts on this one. And then we're going to get started on this one. And hopefully I can film more clips and not just do it like once every couple weeks. It's been a long day. I'm ready to get ready for bed. I finished this book last night. It was better than I remembered. I was only going to give it like 3.5 stars, which is sad because I love Anne Rice. But now I'm going to give it 4 stars because I really like the questions that it asks about, like, what happens to your soul We've already talked about this before in other clips, but you know, does it go to another person? What happens if you're your body without a soul? I don't even know. It's really interesting. So I feel like that was more the main question of all of this, more than anything else. Like I said, it definitely deals with the mythology of the elixir as well, and the lady who created it and other potions that she's made. So I liked all that. So I have no idea what the second or the third one, I mean, that just came out. I have no idea what it's about. The Reign of Osiris. It's shorter. Even though it looks super short, it's still like 350 pages. Yeah, 349. But I thought we would read the back of it together. Let's find out what this book is about. Okay. A pharaoh made immortal by a powerful elixir, Ramses the Great, counselor and lover to Egypt's mightiest rulers, has awakened. Oh, so this is literally just a summary of what happened before. He awakened amidst the glittering world of Edwardian England and found love with the irresistible heiress Julie Stratford, daughter of Lawrence Stratford, the slain archaeologist who discovered Ramses' long-lost tomb. Now with an unprecedented global conflict looming, Ramses and the Immortals, brought forth from the mist of history by his resurrection, must face their greatest test yet. Sinister Russian assassins armed with the power to bring statues to life. Russian assassins? Where'd that come from? Where'd they get that idea? As Ramses and his allies gather to battle these fierce enemies, the once great pharaoh is compelled to lead his immortal band across deadly seas and through the dark forest of northern Russia. It's going to be set in Russia? What the heck? There they must confront an ancient Egyptian power, one that's been plundered and placed in service to a treacherous conspiracy defined by ruthless political ambition and religious fervor, an unstoppable godlike force before which even the immortal Ramses must be forced to submit. I kind of like what they've done. The first book, Ramses, was like truly just powerful and you didn't think anybody was more powerful than him, I guess. But then in this one, there's like this older, more ancient, way more ancient queen lady from Africa who created the potion, and she's like the queen. And so he's like, I was a ruler too, but like I will bow down to you, basically. So I kind of like that there was somebody more powerful than him, and it sounds like there's going to be somebody more powerful than him in this. I don't know. It's like a hierarchy of immortal ancient beings. I don't even know, but I like that aspect. I don't know. I wonder if we'll get more of the whole Cleopatra story. It doesn't sound like it. And Osiris is not mentioned on the back. But is he the unstoppable godlike force? I mean, Osiris is one of the gods, so maybe Osiris is like, oh, how dare you? And what does that have to do with Russian assassins? With bringing statues to life? Why are they in Russia when this is all about confronting ancient Egyptian power? But why are they going to the dark forest of northern Russia? What? Is this going to make sense? I don't know. Now I'm skeptical. Okay, well, we're going to read it and find out. Let's see how it goes. Quick update. It's been a hot minute since I've told you how this book is. I'm pretty sure I hadn't even started it the last time I talked to you, or had I? I don't even remember, but I'm finally 140 pages in, so I'm close to, I think like 30 more pages or so, and I'll be halfway through the Reign of Osiris, which I'm just now starting to figure out how Osiris is even connected to all this, because as we know from the description, it was talking about Russian like assassins, and we're like, what? So I actually like this book better than I thought I was going to. I still have some issues with it because it's not really Anne Rice. It's very clear that her son wrote pretty much most of this book. I have 100 pages left. Yes, I'm in my office before school starts because there's no other time to film videos. So I've got exactly 100 pages left, and I'm very conflicted about this book because obviously it's Anne Rice's last book, but the thing is, I feel like it's really her son's book. I've been over this before. He pretty much wrote the rough draft, and she helped edit it and revise it and come up with the ideas and things. I think there's a couple conversations sort of about like the afterlife and what happens when you die that I feel like maybe she had more of a hand in writing, and it's really just poignant and strange to be reading that scene now, especially, you know, after she's passed away. One of my friends actually said, it was really funny, she said that thought that there was probably maybe about an actual 10% chance that Anne Rice actually was immortal. I'm like, I could see that. Maybe she faked her own death. But anyway, so all of her books ask a lot of questions about immortality and what happens after you die and things like that. So this one, the most interesting thing that has happened, I don't want to spoil it because not that you're going to read all 3 of these books, but there is a character that does come back to life, kind of like how Cleopatra does in the first book. They use the elixir to bring this character back, and the character is not the same. And the character said, I don't even want to say if it's a he or a she, because I feel like it would already spoil who it could possibly be. But the character says, like, I'm not the same person that I was before. Whoever you brought back is not the person you think that you brought back. I'm someone else, and I'm just sort of like the shell of this person with maybe some of their memories, but I'm not that person. So it's like, okay, did that person's soul go to another body? Kind of like how Cleopatra's soul was actually resurrected as someone else. I don't know. So that's the most interesting part so far, honestly. I still don't get why there's this whole thing about the Russian assassins. Like, the whole Russian part just seems really out of place. And we're finally getting now to how the Osiris stuff is all connected. And I think it's finally all going to come to a head. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like the whole thing is, it's slow moving, even though it's short. Like, and yes, a lot of stuff is happening, so that makes no sense. But there's a lot of events that have happened, and yet it still seems like it's slow moving, if that makes any sense. I think it's because there's a lot of dialogue. There's just a lot of talking, and a lot of the stuff happens during the dialogue, I suppose. But it's just not true Anne Rice, you know? It's not the same. So I'm still enjoying it, but it almost feels not like a chore, but just like I'm not super excited to pick it up every time. I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to go open that book again. And a new Anne Rice book, I would be clamoring for it. I could not wait to usually open it up again. But I'm just kind of like, okay, you know, yeah, okay, I'll read a few pages. And I think it's also because I'm not reading very much at a time. I'm only having time to read a few pages here and there. And, you know, I think the most I've ever read in one sitting of this book might be 30 pages. So I think maybe that's why it seems slow moving. I'm sure it would seem faster if I just quickly read it and sat down and did it. So hopefully this weekend I can just finish it and power through and read a lot at once. But it's like, oh, lunch break, read 10 pages. In the evenings, read 15 pages, and then I get too sleepy. So I think this weekend will be the chance to actually finish this thing, and I will give you my final thoughts on all 3 of the books and kind of rank them. They're all definitely different for sure, but this one's more similar in tone to the second book. Well, obviously because the son wrote it, but I mean, it's just even the plot and the ideas, whereas the first book was very much just like a fun adventure and had sorry, I got really distracted by people walking outside the window because it's like a themed day, like 80s day or something, and they were definitely dressed up. The first one was more of like a romance, honestly, but there's not really any romance in the rest of these. But anyway, so I will update you on my final thoughts later. Let me see you read your book. Are you speed reading? Oh, you gonna do it again? All right, this vlog has to end. I don't know how many weeks I've been filming it, but it's been a long time. So let's talk about our 3 Anne Rice books that we read for this vlog in order. Okay, so we read 3 books. I mean, okay, I skimmed this one and it was still good. It smells the best because it's the oldest, so therefore clearly it's the best because it smells the best. No, this one is definitely the best. You could stop here, but honestly, if you're interested in these books at all, and if you like this one, then I would recommend going ahead and reading all 3, but just knowing that this one is very different in tone and style and plot and theme and everything. Basically everything you could imagine. It just uses the same characters basically in a world that was already built. I guess that's the conclusion here. These 2 would fall into that category. So This book, of course, is Anne Rice without her son, and it's pure Anne Rice, and it's wonderful. And after listening to the podcast that her son has, in case you're interested, it's called The Dinner Party Show with Eric Shaw Quinn, who's like his best friend. And in that podcast, he mentions that this book was optioned for like movie rights, and Anne Rice did not want to sort of change some of the things, I guess, that they wanted to in the movie version. And you could almost see that this could, or I think it's like she had the idea, I can't remember exactly what it is, honestly, you'd have to listen to the podcast, but it was something like she had the idea for a movie. Oh, I know what it was. So you would have to listen to the podcast with her son, Christopher Rice, and Eric Shaw Quinn, who's his best friend. They have a podcast called The Dinner Party Show, and in it, one of the things that they talked about in a recent episode was this book, the original Mummy book, was that this was supposed to be a movie. Like, it was an idea Anne Rice had for a movie. And so she tried to get it produced. I guess she talked to Hollywood people, directors, whatever. And they didn't want to do the way she wanted to do it, I guess. And she didn't want to change the things that they wanted to change. And she's like, you know what? I'll just write it as a book. And that's what she did. So this is, it does almost read like a movie. I do feel like it could be a better version even of the original Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser. So anyway, it is super good. I love it. The plot's amazing. The characters are great. I highly recommend it. Just know that there is some romance that's a little bit cheesy. I just remember when I reread it, I felt like it was cheesier than the first time I read it. Maybe if you read it as a younger person, it's even better potentially. I don't know. But it's still Anne Rice at her best, and the writing is absolutely amazing. So then we have Passion of Cleopatra, which was published, let's see exactly how many years later. It was a lot of years. This one's copyright 2017. The original Mummy was copyright 1989. So I was born, but barely. A couple of years. So I was like 2 years old. Obviously, a huge different age, or huge gap between these two years-wise. Clearly, they didn't expect these two to be super popular since they were only published in paperback, which is sad, especially since it's Anne Rice's last book, as we know. It's good. It's good. It's just different. It's clearly her son's writing. I've said this a million times. I feel like a broken record. I would still highly recommend reading it if you like the idea of like the afterlife and where you might go, what happens to souls, are they reincarnated, and if your body comes back, is it the same as your soul? Like, could your soul be reincarnated in a different body, but then if your body came back without its soul in it, what would happen? And so that's actually really interesting, which is why I guess in some ways I like the premise of this one the best, because I think that's really fascinating. And then in this one, the most recent one, The Reign of Osiris, we know I hate the Russian assassin part. But other than that, the last little bit, especially the last like maybe 75% of it, when it talks about the afterlife and is there a God and what happens when you die, there's some fascinating stuff in here. I love Anne Rice's take on this, or Christopher Rice's, or whoever it is. But just knowing that Anne Rice may have passed away believing what she believed in this book makes me happy, because I think she probably found peace before she died believing these things that she believed in this book. It really makes you think about the circle of life and question reincarnation. And it gives you a little bit of hope for what happens when you die. So anyway, I really like this book, and I do think you should read all of these for sure. Obviously, this one's more romance. Sadly, even though this one's a lot about Cleopatra, this one focuses very little on Cleopatra. She's almost pointless. Like, I don't know why she's in here. They mention her. She's like, oh, she's there too in the background. But this one's more Ramses' story. This one's not really much about Ramses, honestly. This one is. I feel like maybe the plot is the main focus of this book, and maybe more of the big questions and more important meanings are the focus of this book. Punish the Russian assassins. Whatever. That's more like a plot device. I see why Anne Rice wanted to talk about World War I, though. I feel like that's interesting. How would immortals deal with a world war? Obviously, they can't interfere with human goings on. They don't want to interfere with history or anything like that. But when they have the power to, and they're tempted to, you know, how does that work? I almost wish there was more of that. That would have been pretty interesting. So anyway, those are my overall, my overall opinions. I would say 4 stars, 4 stars, and then probably 4.5 stars the more I think on it. So 5, did I say 5? I can't remember what I just said. 5, 4, 4.5. That's what I'm going to go with this. So those are my ratings. Hopefully this was helpful to you at all. And I do still recommend reading all of them and all of Anne Rice because she's the best author ever. R.I.P. Anne Rice. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of the Mummy books and what you think about them. So thank you guys, and I will see you again later. Bye.